So I built a short chop. What is a short chop, you ask? Well, it's a motorcycle. You've chopped the frame in some way, but have not extended the neck, forks, or rear end. Just a bike, you chopped some shit off and maybe modified a little bit, maybe added some parts, you know, took some off, but essentially you left the stance and wheelbase alone. I know a lot of you are probably gonna call this bike a bobber. Or I honestly don't give a shit, but you're dead wrong. It's not a fucking bobber, it's a short chop. I don't blame you for your ignorance, I'm just here to set you straight. Sorry, always forward, never stray. Now I wanted to see how fast I could get this thing built and stay on budget, so I filmed the whole thing from start to finish. So you're gonna see the teardown, the chopping, the wiring, the welding, the assembly, and along the way I'm gonna walk you through the things I'm doing as I do them, so you can get kind of a realistic perspective of what this took. Now at the end of this video, I'll give you a tour, showing you the final build, how long it took, and how much it cost. So I had some ideas for this build, but wasn't sure how they would turn out, but I just said fuck it and tried them anyway. I've been building bikes from Hondas to Triumph to Harley for over 20 years now, and I still love this platform. And I think after you watch this, you will agree with why I like the platform so much. Before we get into this build, if along the way you find the video helpful, click the like button because it really helps me to determine what's gas and what's ass. All right, the first thing I'm gonna do here is we're gonna pull this tank off, empty the old fuel. This whole process is really just disassembling the stock bike, taking off whatever I don't need. That fender's definitely got to go. Those Dumbo ear mirrors are next. I'm going to pull the speedometer, speedo off from fender, old bars, all that shit's going. Next up is removing the carburetor, prepping that for a rebuild. Gonna pull that out, drain the old fuel, and she's gonna go to the rebuild room. After that, exhaust gets removed. I'm gonna pull apart a bunch of crap under the seat that I'm not gonna use. And after this, I drain the coolant and give it a nice oil change. Next up, I'm using my nice step bit to open the holes for the bolt-in battery box. Next, I come in with a short 3/8/16 drill bit, and I punch the holes through the bottom of the tubing right there, just like that. Next, you're gonna bolt your battery box in with 3/8/16 bolts and a nylock on the bottom. If you're not gonna be a good welder, you gotta be a good grinder, right? Well, that's not what I'm doing here. I'm not covering up my welds because I'm proud of those fuckers. No, instead I'm taking down this little flap at the back of the where the gas tank mounts, because as you can see, if you don't, this seat will not sit flat. So I've got this handy dandy little custom bolt here that I use for mock-up to make sure the seat sits where I want it. So next up, my preferred tool is the reciprocating saw or Sawzall to get rid of the fender horns. Now I can come back in here later. I can clean up those holes with a grinder. I can weld them shut, but this is the economically fast way to remove those things. Sorry, Honda, they got to go. And if you'll notice, I didn't cut off the rear brake switch mount, kept that intact right there. There's my moral support. What's up, buddy? Now here I'm squaring up the ends of the seat supports and removing the paint from them in prep for weld. As you may or may not know, the key to a good weld is prep, prep, prep. So I'm being really careful here not to remove too much paint, but ensure that my material is clean so that I get good clean welds. So now I've cut up a nice fish-mouthed pipe, tube, whatever. I'm going to put that in there, get a good, nice, clean ground, and I'm going to tack that in, then work on my finished welds through those seams. I'm also going to put some little domed ends on the tube there. As you can see, I just added one in, put one on the other side. I'm not painting this bike, so even if someone does paint it, I want to make sure that the tube isn't just open to the atmosphere. Here I'm setting up the sissy bar and fender. I've got the fender mocked up at the front, but now I'm going to drill and tap those holes in my axle plates. I prefer to tap them because I like the look of the tapped attachment point. Oh, look at that. Look how clean that is. So now I'm setting this fender up, making sure everything looks good. Now I didn't get the E-tank installation or the rewiring, but you guys will see the finished product here in just a few moments. I'm going to jump in and let you know what's going on because right now in the video, it's going to feel like something's missing here if I don't. I think technology is super, super cool. Like having a little square in your pocket that we can use to talk to strangers online about cats and navel lint. I know that's what you do. But it's not so cool when you trust it to capture some steamy moments of you building a motorcycle and it totally shits the bed. Now, when we went to edit the GoPro footage for a bunch of this build, it turns out the footage was completely corrupted, which means we missed a lot. So what I'm going to do is walk you around the bike so you can see what the camera missed. Went with the stock headlight, works great, looks good, it's clean. Brass action there, switch. Replaced the stock risers with some nice brass short risers, and they utilize our solid brass riser bushings. Did a really simple broomstick bar setup on this with the Malleus grips and the Aceris throttle assembly. Stuck with a stock tank. The 88 to 98 tanks are smaller and narrower than the 99 up to 2007 tanks, and I think they look pretty decent, despite the fact they are kind of a Mustang style tank. I think they look good. For seat, went with a rigid mount 1-bolt solo seat, and instead of doing the typical full hardtail on this bike, went with a monostrut, which you can't see, and a monostrut E-tank. You can also see where I've relocated the rear coil to the coil mount on the E-tank. It's pretty easy to set up. This bolts into the E-tank here, and your coil originally sits like right around here in the stock electronics area, and this moves it to the back of the E-tank. Gives it fresh air. On the rear of the bike, went with a Antares kit, complete Antares kit, which is your straight up sissy bar, curb bobber fender, and the Presio forward fender mount. Really easy to install, really easy to set up. Kept this bike pretty simple. Despite that, it's still quite a bit of work to get to this point. We've got our TJBC Velocity stacks up in here. Take a look up under their skirt there. And some nice FIM slide covers going on. So you can see how pretty that looks. Got the long-handled air fuel mixture screws, stuck with the stock choke cable. It's in really good condition, so I left that in there. If you notice, the coolant line kind of snakes up and over the velocity stack. That's because right here you have lots of room to back this hose off of this fitting and give yourself extra room. And you can do the same thing, I don't know if you can see this, but right up here, this hose as well, you can back that off and rotate it to get the hose up and out of the way. I'm going to circle around here on the back side. And I get a lot of questions from people about this whole area here. And they ask, how do I get all the wires to go away? It's pretty easy. All the wires are up inside here. There's a lot of space between the backbones and the tank that you can squirrel that stuff away and just use some zip ties to bundle it all together and keep it looking clean. On the headlight, I actually used some split loom here, and this covers the wiring, makes it look nice, protects the wiring as well. I think it's a really good addition to any build. If you're gonna see the wires, it's a good way to keep them clean and safe. And over here, we've also got our U-Core overflow tank. It's just running your line from the filler neck on the other side. Comes underneath here, plugs right in. And we've got the Fortis Crucium up here on the left side of the carbs. Got our holy foot pegs. And I do little stuff like this, little brass bolts, just kind of details that make it more fun. On this side of the E-tank, you can see we've got a switch here. And this switch replaces what used to be right here, which was the key. This is actually takes place of the key itself. So you turn this on, and that's basically like turning the key on for the bike. And to go back, you can see I've run the wiring for our tail light right here. Right up there using the tenant license plate bracket. Check out the fender and the sissy bar mounting. I ran a ring in this just for fun. We'll circle back around to this side. I'm going to show you something underneath here. This guy, this hose, is the crankcase breathing. And that's running off the other side of the bike into the center post here, just so it can breathe. Over here you can see where I've run the spark plug wires or ignition wires from the rear head. Came down here, looped them underneath. Got a start button here using one of our brass start buttons. Pretty fancy. And down there you can see the glorious anti-gravity battery. I don't know why, but they started putting these stupid fucking stickers on the batteries, which make it incredibly difficult to make them look good, and you just can't get them off at all. As you can see, I have rewired wiring for that battery. I'll see if I can get up underneath here. It has a better look. And you can see those new connections that are heat shrunk using 8-gauge wire, and that negative one goes over to your starter right there, and the positive one goes up to your starter relay. Yeah, pretty fun stuff. And then I made this set of pipes for this bike to kind of replicate some older chopper style pipes where you've got a high pipe and a low pipe terminating both the same point. Makes them look kind of wonky. If you make the front pipe short, it looks really weird. So I thought this style went pretty well with this bike. You can see underneath the seat here, hope you guys can see this, but I put a cross member there, and the seat itself is just mounted on some really solid rubber mounts on that cross pipe, or seat support, whatever you want to call it. Just capped off the end of the tubing here. Nothing fancy done to the rear tire. Stock drum brake configuration, brake stay. You can see all the carbon deposits here from the stock pipes. They had a big leak in them. So the whole stance of the bike is pretty low, pretty mean. It's pretty fun to ride. The VT600 is a pretty nimble little bike. Fun fact, they stopped making them in 91 because in 1990, they had a surplus. They didn't sell as many as they hoped, but it gained popularity. They did release the 600 again in 92, bringing it back obviously for all the way through 2007. Kind of a neat fun fact there. Down here at the radiator, took the stupid plastic thing off. There's no reflectors anywhere. That shit's kind of stupid.
I don't ever use that.
So them is the final results, the whole enchilada, except how long it took and how much it cost me to put together and build. The build actually wound up taking around 3 full days, including some really basic rewiring and finishing it out with about $2,000 in parts. It does help to have the parts already made where I don't have to create something from scratch. Now, while that's actually really fun and one of my favorite things to do, it is time consuming and not exactly cheap. So 3-ish days, $2,000 in parts, not too shabby. Now keep in mind, I didn't do any custom chroming. I also didn't take it to paint. I didn't even do any metal finishing. I didn't have to change tires, tubes, chain, forks, brakes, throttle, clutch, brake line. I actually also used the stock tank. You can go to the moon and back with these bikes with unlimited time and unlimited budget. I wanted to see how fast it could be done while remaining on budget, and I'm pretty happy with the results. What do you think?